So we're here live, and that was probably a very confusing look on my face there. Dan was giving me some cues to come in. Hello, Hornby fans. Welcome to TT Talk and Signal Box. Together, combined, we're talking about HM DCC. I'm joined by George. Say hi.
Hello.
And Chris.
Hi.
Chris, some of you might have seen on the Collector Club Day just this weekend. So We're back here again. We're talking all things HM DCC. As you can see in front of me, large layout, lots of track, lots of locos running around. Today we're going to be answering some of your questions that you sent in via social media. We're also going to be talking generally about the app and some of the features which George and Chris will talk about and show in front of us. We can see the screen, hopefully on the screen, of what George has got on his screen. And we'll answer some live questions later on as well from you at home. So first I'll ask the simple question I ask everyone. George, what is HM DCC, for anyone out there that doesn't necessarily know?
So HM DCC is Hornby's new digital control system. It's an app-based control system where you put a chip in your loco, a brand new HM 7000 chip, and then you can connect to it via the HM DCC application and get controlling straight away.
And this was released just about a week ago, right?
Yeah, it's gone down fantastically well. We're getting some great feedback, which is absolutely brilliant.
And just to kind of backtrack a little bit for anyone who doesn't know, you've been involved in this project for quite a considerable amount of time, right?
Yes, yeah. So I've worked on the HM DC application, which was the application for analogue model railway control, app-based. That's now evolved into HM DCC, which is a much more complex system under the hood, but we've made DCC as simple as possible now. So,
brilliant. So if I buy this, get it home out of the box, I can just pop the decoder in and really easily get going with HM
yeah, of
DCC.
course. I mean, there's plenty of different ways to actually upgrade. So we've got analog users. Analog users on some of your controllers, you can turn the power up to full. Instantly, you've got track power to a locomotive. If you've got a DCC ready locomotive, all you need to do is buy one of the new HM 7000 chips, fit it in there, connect to it via the app, and off you go. You're into HM DCC. For DCC users as well, you might have an Elite or a Select controller. You've already got the power there. You've already got the system there ready for you. Again, all you need to do is buy one of these chips and fit it into your loco, and off you go.
So, I guess the very broad question is why? Why do this? What does this provide me different? If I suppose is the best.
Sure. So this gets you into obviously the new system, which is going to be updatable over time. So you'll see updates and changes overnight. It's not like a previous system where you had to buy a big bulky expensive controller and that was it. You wouldn't see any more further development. If you buy into this system, you're going to see a plethora of new features. All the time. Of course, as well, so with these decoders come with a default profile on there as well, and then using the application, you flash over or install different sound profiles. We've got around about 20 to 22 sound profiles live at the moment, and we'll be seeing a lot more over time. So, a new sound profile, we can put it onto our portal. Our portal links to the application, and then overnight you'll be able to download a brand new sound profile.
So, talking about sound, Chris.
Knew that would come.
Here we go. The sound wizard, the guy that everyone's seen at home on Hornby Model World with his recorder. What is HM DCC doing for sound? And also, for anyone who doesn't know, Chris, you are part of a model railway club.
I am, yeah.
So for you, what is HM DCC doing for you as a member of that club?
Well, for me, there's a certain element of pressure involved because as a modeller and obviously members of the club, I feel like every single sound project I have to get right. If there's something amiss or something wrong or there's a whistle that doesn't sound quite right or anything, I will get criticised for it. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist as well, so sometimes I don't know when to stop, which has been a bit of a theme going on, but I'm hoping that what I have done so far has been been acceptable.
So if there's a sound that you've not quite got right, do the other members of the club
Yeah.
just play it?
Yeah. I'll know about it before I walk in the door. Yeah.
So this has TXS, I get that right? TXS, triple X sound.
Yep.
How is that different to TTS?
So TTS was twin track sound, which meant you could play the running sound and the spot sound at the same time, like a whistle or coal shoveling.
Yep.
TXS is triple X sound, so you can have the running sound plus play two spot sounds at the same time, so it just gives the user more flexibility and functionality.
Yeah. So right now I can see 3 locomotives all running on this layout, all controlled by HM DCC.
So we've got our...
And you can control them separately, and that's... Which is the Bluetooth thing, right?
Yeah. So your tablet will connect to them individually. It's not through the rails at all. We've got 3 locos here. So, for example, I can, speed up my 9F, get it going. I can play my whistles.
Nice.
Coal shuffling there. Some brake squeal. And we've got different pages of functions as well that I've set up. They're all named accordingly, so now you don't need to look at your instruction manuals anymore and find out that number 1 is, the lights, or number 2 is the whistles. It's all there for you. Whenever you link one of the decoders into the app, it will give you the option to bring this function map into it. I do recommend doing that as well, so but you can always edit these at a later date anyway.
So, so you're controlling the 9F at the moment?
Yeah.
And how easy is it to switch to controlling... I don't know, let's go with our
another
TT
loco.
Yeah.
Just toolbar up the top, already pre-set up. Slow it down.
Nice.
Speed it up, get it going.
Oh, no. Is that?
Yeah. It's
I
mean, it's
know
that
seems
simple.
like a layman's thing for me as someone seeing this, say, for the first time altogether. That is an example of how simple it is to then start controlling. 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
How many locos could you theoretically control?
Well, you end up getting bottlenecked by other things before you get bottlenecked by the amount of locos you have. So chip-wise, our chip is powerful enough for 15,000 different Bluetooth nodes, which is a massive number.
So if I wanted to try it theoretically,
theoretically you could, but then you run into you've got to have the power for it. I mean these tablets, even the iPads, are only powerful enough. You've got to imagine 15,000 locos in one tablet. It's so excessive.
I've also got to have the space to put 15,000 locomotives.
Honestly.
But that sounds silly, but that shows for those at home that have got those larger layouts, club layouts, things like that, may be worried, is it going to be able to power, is it going to be able to run all the locos that I've got? It's great to know that there is that capability, provided you've got certain elements like power and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Another huge feature of this system as well, with these 7,000 decoders, which is absolutely brilliant, is the ability to write what's known as CV values. They're the settings on the decoder. So, for example, I'll take my 9F here. If I press...
If you want to slow everything down...
Yeah. Let's slow everything down.
For the people at home, if we can get our 9F to come round...
Let's have a go.
In front of us here.
Let's have a go.
So...
Let's bring it right down.
Right now, what settings have we got?
So let's have a look.
Example.
So if I go locomotive settings here, we can see my acceleration rate and deceleration rate is 5, very, very low, so it will speed up very, very quickly.
Yep.
If I was to put these up, and then put my slide bar to full, let's actually change the direction so we've got it going forward as well. But you can see...
It's doing everything.
Yeah, a lot slower.
Yeah.
I mean, and if I go back to my locomotive settings and then put them right back, you can see instantly those settings have taken effect. They're the quick fire settings that you can get to with regards to the acceleration rate.
Bring it down. We've been told when it runs, it's loud.
Okay, sure.
So if we bring
sure.
just when
we'll keep them nice and slow.
Yeah,
They've got a lovely crawl on these anyway. So
Sorry
it's good to
that.
show.
So yeah, so CV settings you can change on the fly as quickly as you've just done there.
Yes, yeah. So, for example, we can turn the volume up really easy. We've allowed these to be quick-fire settings, but you do have the ability in this advanced CV editor here to have a look through all of the different CVs, and you can change all of these instantly, instantly on the fly, and you can read all of the CVs as well by pressing the refresh button. That takes around about 12 or so seconds to read them all in.
And so you've changed the CV settings on the 9F.
Yes.
What if I wanted to quickly change the CV settings on our Scotsman?
On the Flying Scotsman.
How easy is it for me to do that?
Same again. So flick to the Flying Scotsman. You could refresh the data there, or we can just go to the acceleration. Every time I touch these slide bars, it instantly writes.
And that's not affecting anything else?
No, that's not affecting anything else, so it's not touching these other two locomotives here. It's just the Flying Scotsman on here. This toolbar is great. It means you can flick really, really easily between everything.
Brilliant. Right, well, we've let you kind of de-stress a little bit there, because I know you're probably a little bit nervous.
Oh, it's okay. There's just there's a lot going on. I mean, we were talking about how many locos can you have going on? 15. Oh, blimey, I think. What's the max we had going rounds? I think
15.
We had about 15, and it was just mind blowing to try and control 15 on a layout.
But then theoretically could I have me controlling it, George controlling, and so then you could each have your loco?
Absolutely. I mean, as long as you. So I've got a Class 08 here, for example. If I just pop that just behind, just like that, I'm going to give Chris my phone over here.
It was locked, George.
It's locked.
Of course it has.
Don't show your pin to the camera, George.
Oh, sorry, it's Face ID. There you go, Chris. Have a go at that, mate. So now Chris has got control of the Class 08, while I'm controlling all of my locomotives separately as well. So of course it's absolutely fantastic for club layouts, or you want to play with your friends. You bring your phone or tablet and your locomotive, pop it on the layout, and off you go. So Chris, you've got that one. I'm not touching anything on my screen. That's Chris playing sounds there. That's me playing sounds on mine.
Nice. Again, it seems silly, but that is amazing that you can both. I mean, no one offered me to have a go, but that's fine. I understand. You don't want me to break anything. I get. No, but that's great for people at home that have got these club layouts and on shows and things like that. That they are able to do that. Yeah, thanks for kind of showing that off. So I'll jump into some questions that we've had on social media, because that'll give you some prompts to kind of go through some stuff. So we've got from Instagram, on the worktop, asked, will train sets featuring HM 7000 include point clips? Do we know?
So no, not as of current. They're a separate item to be bought, because some users might not even need those point track clips. So including them in a set wouldn't be beneficial price-wise.
There you go. RIOX69. I have an old PO 040 loco which came with the analog mixed freight set. Was wondering if I could fit a HM 7008 TXS into this somehow. I do understand that I'll need to solder in the connections, etc. Would you have sound files available sometime in the future for locos like this? And would it work with a non-DCC ready mode like mine? So there's a few questions in there. But
it's probably one for Chris. What do you reckon?
I've actually done this with a set that I keep to run under the Christmas tree at Christmas time, and I'll take that off actually. And it would be possible, providing there's enough space in the loco. And you've obviously got reasonable soldering skills, but you've got to remember, in a short wheelbase loco you're going to get potential stalling on point, so you want to be able to maybe fit a stabiliser and things like that. If you want to fit a sound decoder, you've got to have room for a speaker. Those small models, there is quite limited room, so you've got to be quite clever with how you do it. But it is possible, given the know-how. You can even wire the decoder into, say, a wagon behind it, so you've got that space. But it is possible to do it, and it would work. The actual sound profiles themselves, I would probably use a generic sound profile, only because there's the argument that most steamers sound the same, but certain aspects of steam sounds are generic, and therefore there's no plan to do sort of sounds for those little models, but the generic profile should be fine.
So, because we can talk about how easy it is to pop it. And talking about decoders and things like that. In the box, obviously, we've got cases for our decoders.
I mean, pop one off if you want.
You pick which one it is.
I would just take one of the smaller ones,
because
just like this.
You mentioned their soldering and things like that. Typically, for these decoders and things, you'd have to solder and understand all that. And the idea that you wanted is to get it so that people can just
plug it in and away you go. That is the idea. But I mean, I appreciate that there are these older models where they don't have DCC sockets, and customers might want to hardwire them into older models, which you can do.
Yeah. So George is just showing
So
how easy it is to.
Yeah, I've just created this one here. I made one earlier and plugged it in, but you can just plug these straight into the side of the decoder.
And it's all sort of little plug and
play,
kind of tiny little, which is really good. I mean, again, it's making it simpler for those enthusiasts and model railway enthusiasts that have kind of been doing this for a long time, but it's also making it easy for those that are coming into this and want to try it, because it can be quite intimidating seeing a elite controller with all these numbers and I've got to solder this and I've got to do that, and that can be kind of a bit nerve-wracking for people. So yeah, it's great to see that. Postman on the rails. Hello, Postman on the rails. When will we see TT tracks in the layout builder in the app? Is there plans to update the layout with TT packs and track pieces?
Absolutely. So the whole of the TT range of track pieces will be available in the application. I'm going to say this is going to be a couple of months. The reason being is we want to get the Android version out, making sure that's all correct, and then the TT track builder will come after that.
Nice. WM Rail Spottery T. Does the decoders fit into the existing DCC boards in current DCC ready locos?
Yeah, if I'm reading that correctly, any loco that's DCC ready, providing there's enough room to fit the decoder size, yes, it would.
And you've got multiple,
depending
on the size of locomotive. Leo Barco, can you only use it on Hornby locos, or can you use it on other makes too? Don't name any names. We can't do that for obvious reasons. But yes,
you can use it in any manufacturing loco. Yeah.
So if I go and buy Mike's controller from somewhere, I don't know where, I can pick it up. I can start using it.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The ability to be able to use our decoders in our locos is that we're only making sound profiles for our locos at the moment.
Yeah.
At the moment.
It being the operative word, but who knows in the future?
Nice. We'll move to some Facebook questions. Miles Hayward answered, excellent. Installed my first today, very impressed. Now to do the remaining 8. There you go, 8 I've got before ordering more. Hope the rest of the sound files will be available this year. So that was just a nice comment there from Miles Hayward. Thanks for that one. Mark Bilby. When do you expect TT track to be on the layout builder, which you've answered? A couple of months. We need TT 120 track in layout builder. Any ideas when this will be available? A couple of months. Simon Owen, have pre-ordered the dongle. Will it work with my expletive and take out the B lettered named controller? And will it be out? And when will it be out? So you pre-ordered the dongle. I think he's asking when this dongle here will be out.
When will this be out? So we're looking at around about Q3 for this. So we just want to get more testing on it. It's working really, really nicely at the moment.
Yeah.
Testing on other controllers is something we also need to do a lot more of at the moment.
And that's just because you won't know necessarily what factors are going to...
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's designed and built for the Select and the Elite controllers, but those Select and Elite controllers run on the same sort of system. They run on ExpressNet. So it's quite likely that other controllers that work on the same sort of system, this will work in as well, providing they've got the RJ12 connector.
And so this is, just for anyone who doesn't know, this is
the HM 7040 Legacy dongle.
And that is just for if you've got a controller that you want to hook up.
Yes.
You can pop that in.
Yeah, so you simply plug this into the back. I've got an Elite controller right here, just like this. In fact, it's quite cheeky. I've got an adapter here, so I can have two. two of them in there. So in this scenario, I could have one of the legacy dongles, and Chris or yourself, Mike, could have one of the legacy dongles, and then you can control the whole layout. You can control different addresses, so DCC decoders, non-HM 7000.
So again, you're trying to find solutions for those people that may have these different various over the years. You end up with different controllers. Everyone's got their specific way of doing things. So being able to enable everyone to be able to do that, regardless of what setup they've got, is great. So Michael Eyre, a suggestion. In the log on screen, it may be worth adding the option to create an account if you don't already have one. This seems to be causing some confusion and discussion online. One, can you add the sign up option to the login screen? This is also showing the support videos but missing on the login screen.
So, this was all part of us trying to get it through the Apple Store.
Right.
It was one of the things that came up that they weren't quite happy with exactly the way that we were going about doing it. Mm-hmm. Basically, it was something to do with how you go about deleting your account if you actually sign up. Right. So, to get the app out quicker to everyone, we did actually remove that option, and that's why it is seen in some of the support videos. Right. We will be adding that in later on, and it will be a new build that will have to go through Apple again. Yeah. So it was just to get the app out to people faster.
Okay. How does overload protection work when connecting a power supply directly to the track, i.e. not using a DCC or DC controller?
So this is about power supplies. It's certainly recommended to use a Hornby power supply. It's got the mitigation in that power supply already, so you don't have to worry about that. Chris, do you have?
Well, I can see someone else has asked a similar question further down, so I've got a list of answers. So I'll go back into that.
And then update on Android availability progress.
So we're hoping around about 4 weeks' time is when we're going to have the Android out. We've got a beta testing group. It needs to go to the beta testing group who need to test everything a lot further. So they'll be getting the app within about the next week, I'd say.
And I guess the thing is that although as someone, myself included, you just assume, oh, it's just the same as iOS, it's all, but there's so much within that to do with the app and where it looks and how it resizes and how that works with Android and things like that, right?
So with Apple, there is only there's a set amount of devices they've got out there. They've got different versions of Apple. There's not too many. I mean, you probably have 30 devices maybe over phone and tablet. Well, Android, there's thousands, right. So we've got to test a multitude, of different devices. We have tested a lot, but we definitely need to do a lot more testing on it.
Okay, but it's on the way. It shouldn't be too long, and we apologise to anyone on Android, but it's on its way.
Yeah,
it'll be there. That's the best thing we can say at this stage. Can you show this works with the legacy dongle? Is there a difference between the Select and the Elite when using HM DCC? So you wouldn't be able to demonstrate that at the moment because we're still testing it. But you could show us, like you had done, how it fits in and how it kind of works in that sort of sense.
Yeah, I can show, talk about the theory behind it. I mean, so the legacy dongle simply plugs into the back of your DCC controller. Your DCC controller is still wired into the rails. Yeah. You connect to the legacy dongle via the HM DCC application. You set up as many locomotives as you want, all under their own addresses. Of course, those addresses have to match your DCC decoders that are already on your layout. And then off you go. It talks to the 7040, which tells the Elite controller or Select controller what to do, which then in turn, through the rails, tell the DCC decoders what to do.
And so this is Craig Bullbeck. If you're using a legacy dongle, what are the benefits of using Select or Elite? So he's asking if there's any point in getting an Elite if he's got a Select because all the features will be in the app. If he's using that Select as that power source to power the app, is there any reason to get an Elite? Will it give him any?
I don't think you'll see any difference between.
No. If his pure reason is to get up and running so that he can use the app, all the control he's doing is effectively just supplying power to the rails.
Yeah. So if Craig's got his Select at home, you can stay with the Select. You'll get all the features.
That's right.
Okay. There you go, Craig. Stay with the Select. John Lowe, will you be doing a PC, tablet, Windows version? So will there be sort of desktop version, do you think?
I can't see us doing that anytime in the future.
No.
Is this... So does the question read as if we're going to do our own tablet, as it were?
No, sorry. So a sort of Windows version.
A Windows
I
version.
assume like a desktop version that you can have on your laptop or anything like that.
So we are looking into and testing some side of it. But for example, with like Windows 11, Windows 11 allow for Android apps,
Yep.
and so it's quite possible that the Android version of the app will work on Windows 11. But we can't really comment too much further on that at the moment because we haven't really we're still working on the Android app for the phone and the tablet. Once we've done that, we can then move on to other systems. Another such system is like Chromebooks. Chromebooks run Android apps, so it's quite possibly a Chromebook with Bluetooth may work, but yeah, again, more testing.
Did you think they were asking if we're going to make a Hornby
Hornby
PC,
tablet?
a Hornby tablet.
Blimey.
Will you issue a version that works on the Fire tablet? So I guess that's part of the testing on.
I
Android,
can't see any time in
No.
the future for a Fire tablet.
No. Really looking forward to playing with this. This will be my first play with Hornby since a child, and having a 0-1 unit. So that was Andy Sawyer. So
Brilliant.
0-1 unit. I've heard a lot from Simon about that. 0-1 unit. Jeannie Goodson. Does it work on older models? I've got an Intercity 125 HST that runs on the TTS Valenta decoders. Did I just mention a competitor there?
So
No,
it's okay. You're right, Mike. You're right, Mike. If your locomotive works with a TTS decoder or a previous DCC decoder, it will work with the HM7000 decoders. The HM7000 decoders can work in Bluetooth mode and they can work in DCC mode as well. So
That question's a little bit unclear actually, because I read that question to mean, would it be compatible if they use the HM7000 system as in the app? In which case, it would be the dongle, wouldn't it?
so if they
they've got
had a
TTS decoders and they're trying to operate the TTS decoders,
Right.
they would need to go down the dongle route.
yes, yeah. So if they've got a TTS decoder already in that locomotive and they don't want to remove that, it's the legacy dongle that they need for that.
Okay. Robert Black, can you run other countries' locomotives or just Hornby British outline?
You can run other countries'
Anything you
locomotives.
like, yeah.
I mean, Hornby, we've got GF, Riverosi. I mean, we've got international locomotives on the layout here.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
yes.
Which is great. Nice on there as well. Craig Boone, I have the new 00 Castle HSTs that come with 2 Sugar Cube speakers already hardwired to the main circuit board. Will the HM7000 sound chip control them with the downloaded sound profile, or will I have to write these to the new speaker connector on the new chip board? And also, are the old Sugar Cube speakers 8 OHM each or 4 OHM each?
Okay, so quite a few questions there.
Yeah.
Currently, because the certain HST sets that have come out, the Castle HST that he's mentioned there, comes with those Sugar Cubes fitted, it would just be a case of plugging the decoder in and away you go.
Okay.
The sound would come out of the speakers that fit into the loco.
Yep.
And it would all work via the app, so they could download the relevant profile and import the function map, and it would all work via the app. Regarding the Sugar Cube speakers themselves, they are 8 ohm individually, and I believe they are wired in series, so 16 ohm. If you are looking to change speakers or put your own speaker in there, it would be a minimum of 8 ohm impedance that we would use. Nothing lower than that.
Anything to add? No? Okay, brilliant. So we've got a model Bannon in Ruddow. So this is a model railway dealer from Germany. They were just wondering how the product's been received by people.
I'm going to say
Positive.
extremely positive. Thank you very much, everyone.
We installed the decoder in the 60103 Flying Scotsman to show the customers the great possibilities of the decoder. The speaker's also good. The power pack is also very well sized. They're saying we'd like to see a decoder for N scale in the near future.
Possible. Yes,
It's
I mean,
possible.
we do have, well, we're going to have non-sound decoders here. They are tiny. So
So is that the with N-Gage, is it the fact that it's so small?
it's
Yeah.
the
It's
size.
the limitation
Yeah, it's the
of
size
the
limitation.
decoder.
And so how tricky was it to kind of work it into TT, for example?
The TT just gives you that little bit more flexibility because it's just a little bit bigger.
Right.
And it just so happened that because it was a little bit bigger, we managed to incorporate the Next 18 variant of our decoder into it.
Yeah.
So that actually worked quite well.
Bill Cuthbert, the HM7000 with app is obviously a good step forward for the hobby. My concern is in using the decoders with a power supply. You sell the 15 volt 4 amp PSU that is recommended. There's an obvious risk in customers connecting other PSUs when a short circuit or overload occurs. Question 1, how do you assure users that your PSU will protect their layouts?
Right, so Hornby PSUs have complete protection within for overcurrent, overvoltage, overload, as do most power supplies.
Right.
Overload protection, it works differently to other PSUs, power supplies, on the market, i.e. they're constant power rated, which means as the external load increases beyond the rated current out of the PSU, the system will start dropping the voltage as the current goes up, thus maintaining a constant power level to the rated output. This limits the maximum amount of available within the layout. I mean, all of this, there's quite a good section in the main HM7000 manual that details all of this, and it is actually mentioned in there. It's quite a comprehensive bit of information. So.
Okay. Question 2, do you warn users to not use other PSUs?
Yes, we'd always recommend using Hornby power supplies.
Do you have plans to incorporate a current monitoring / circuit breaker device that communicates with the app?
Not immediately, no, but I mean anything's possible. If we feel later on down the line it might be required, we could look into developing it.
We could even, we're looking at developing it into the 6000, aren't we? Which does have that short circuit detection in there.
It does.
We just basically need to get that in the HM DCC app, so that is an option.
And then question 4 was, shall future versions of your own controllers incorporate this requirement?
I didn't really understand what you meant there. Maybe it could be a little bit more specific. What I would say with that is, is it Bill would like to post that on the Hornby forum. We've got a few experts on the Hornby forum that might be able to assist there. I mean, I go on it from time to time and check it as well, but that will be able to be answered.
So there you go, Bill Cuthbert. If you want to ask any questions, you're not already on the forum, go on there and seek out Chris, and he'll be able to lead you in the right way. We've got another question about when it'll be available on Google Play. A month or so, I think, 4 weeks.
Yep.
Can the decoder work on both DCC and Bluetooth?
Yes. So
that.
on the application, it's this simple. So my 9F, if I had an Elite controller plugged in, you simply tap this DCC button right here. You can see the 9F has stopped because it's waiting for the signal of the Elite controller. Then if I go back to Bluetooth, it gets going again back to the speed settings that I had previously. Okay, so yes, it's really easy to switch from one to the other.
It's not going to sort of kick out anything or anything like that. You'll have the same settings on DCC?
Yes. So all of those settings that you wrote in your, for example, in your advanced CV editor you've got here, all of this will transfer over to DCC.
It's actually a good point that you've made there, because one thing that I've found a lot with what users have asked is it a DCC, how does it work? Is it a DCC decoder? Fundamentally, the whole thing is a DCC decoder with the Bluetooth chip added to it. Right. So you've got the full DCC capability, functionality as you would do, but any other decoder, but you can control it by Bluetooth.
Yes, yeah. Out the box, all of the locos are set to DCC, so you don't even need to touch the app if you don't want to. You can just buy a 7000 decoder, plonk it on the rails, and away you go.
That's right.
So Ian Kirby says, so am I right in thinking I cannot oust my Gauge Master system and replace it with this, and all will work okay with the current DCC chips? I'd have to replace my 50 loco fleet with the Hornby chip. Is that technically right?
So
there's two issues there, isn't there? There's one I'm not entirely convinced the Gauge Master system has an RJ12 ExpressNet port.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't be able to use the dongle. So I think possibly his only way of being able to use HM 7000 is to either change from Gauge Master, which he's reluctant to do, or upgrade the fleet that he's got.
Yeah, it will probably be more cost effective getting a select controller and then buying the legacy dongle,
or even
and then you're not replacing 50 decoders worth.
No.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be the best way forward. But yeah, people might be reluctant to move away from their controllers.
They will, because they're used to them, aren't they?
Yeah.
Richard Brown, you forgot to say you need to register to use the app, which you can't do from the app, which was what you mentioned about earlier.
Yes, yeah. So on the app, it will tell you to go to the Hornby.com website. So this is just, a login that you would create, to purchase anything from Hornby.com. It is that exact same login that you use to log into the HM DCC app.
We've got a nice comment from Roger Westlake. These decoders are superb. It's an absolute game changer for me. It's also a huge boost for my 13-year-old son too. He loves the mix of good old-fashioned skills, soldering circuits, crafting, and the newer tech that this kind of thing brings to the hobby. It's the younger generation that will help keep the hobby alive. Completely agree.
I completely agree with that. I mean, we've been watching the last week some YouTube videos, and we've been seeing kids getting into DCC. Yeah. It's so easy to set up now. Yeah. They know what every button's going to do. They know if they're going to play a whistle or absolutely loving it. It's great seeing kids into DCC.
Yeah, kids have got like little tablets and things of their own at home, haven't they? And it's just incorporating that.
Yeah, I mean, this sort of thing's second nature to a lot of them. I mean, there's 3, 4, 5-year-olds who've got tablets. I mean, they probably know how to use this
my 8-year-old's
better than a
really
DCC controller.
Yeah, which scares me a little bit. I hope she just doesn't turn my trains on, and then God can
enjoy your CV, all your settings. That's what I think is great about looking at it is, and we mentioned it on the Collector Club day, is that it's all simple to look at, but then underneath some of these things we've got numbers as well. So if you've got you're used to your numbering system that you use for DCC usually, you can find all that in there, and you haven't sort of done away with that. You've just made it more accessible. Should you want it to be more accessible?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think I remember you saying you could change it from the icons to the numbers. Is that right?
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, let's have a look here. So again, locomotive settings, function screen. I've set up some functions here. I can go into one of them. I can change the function number, which will fire a different function on the hardware decoder. DCC users will know exactly what that is. Change the way the switch works, so we can have it so it's constantly on, or a momentary push button. We can have it timed, which will be a switch for a certain amount of seconds. You could say 10 seconds. Yep. You test your function, making sure it's working correctly, and away you go. So you can do all of that as well, and then as well, once you're finished, you can also export these function maps as well. So you could then import them across other locomotives that you may have. You might set it up for one, want it on all of them, and then you can easily pull that across.
Nice. Will this be available in Australia? Do you know
it is available in Australia. Yeah, we've been looking at statistics. The Australians have been, doing quite well. They've been purchasing quite a lot. Seen a lot of app downloads over there, so it's been good actually.
Anyone got a full list of sounds available at the moment? So is there a list of the current sounds?
So
anywhere?
there is a list of the current live sounds of the sound profiles on the Hornby.com website within the function profile maps. In the instruction manuals, all of that. But we are going to be updating that, at a later date to show ETAs of when all of the sound profiles are going to come out.
We'll make sure we put links in the description below following the live of all those links, so you can go click in there and find out what you need to find out. Mike, ready? Yeah, I am. It's just another nice comment. I'm looking forward to getting my DCC TT120 Easterner set. They're just really excited to get the set and get running with HM 7000. Julian Collier, can you control more than one chain on the same screen?
on the same screen? Right. So this is again focusing on Android mode, and then yes, on the same screen we will be developing a landscape mode. Right. So you'd have 2 locomotives, split down the middle here. Also, as well, coming with that will be consisting. So you'll be able to easily link the coders together.
Yep.
So you'll be able to consist and have them all on one page. So
Okay.
that is something we're certainly going to be developing in the near future.
Julian was, I have 15 turnouts on my layout. Are you developing wireless motors? If so, will the app be able to control sequences of changes?
While
Why,
Are we developing wireless motors?
Not at the moment, but we're looking at further developing everything that would be incorporated within HM 7000.
Yeah.
So that's point control, lighting, all sorts of things. So
Yeah.
that will be coming over the coming
So it's
months.
a good point to sort of mention that although this is out, this is much like in a lot of other apps and other systems. This
Yep.
is something building upon. That there's
It's
there
just
are
a start, I think.
plans over time to add in functionality, to add in technology, to add in extra things. And what's great about something like this is the people at home can feed back through the app, through contacting us, and we can learn and adapt for them and for the users, which I think is probably a really, really great thing.
Yeah.
You know, previously, what if you had a Elite controller and something was wrong with it, you've got to invent a whole new system. Technically,
or it's got to come in for repair, firmware update. You know,
whereas
service.
this, you can do that.
Do it yourself.
Somewhere else on the fly. Once George puts an update in it, or our developers put an update in it, you can just download that firmware and suddenly you've got that. Or I guess we were talking the other day, if you had an issue at home and you called into customer service, for example, you could just remotely do it. So you've not got to send in anything or anything like that, which I think is a really good thing. The idea that this isn't a system that's just going to be here today, gone tomorrow. It's for the future. It's to build upon. And if we're sitting here in another 2 years' time, and there'll probably be a ton of other features that you've all asked for now that have come along. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Ian Kirby, again, he has mentioned about his fleet of locos running on GaugeMaster. Can your new system control standard DC chips, or do I have to re-chip my entire fleet? I think it's
it's the same thing, isn't it? I think the GaugeMaster again doesn't have the RJ12 ExpressNet.
Yeah.
So it's either got the same scenario where he goes out and buys maybe a Select, or the only other option, unfortunately, would be to change the chips, DCC chips in his fleet.
Andrew Donaldson, when will sounds be available for all the prototypes in the Hornby International range?
So, Chris, with regards to sound, we definitely want to get the
International is a subject that gets brought up quite a lot, actually, and we're actually having a discussion around. Well, there's discussions ongoing. There's going to be another one later today, I think. So, but it is coming, but at the moment we can't say when.
So I guess this is a good sort of chance to sort of explain what you're having to do to get those sounds. So it's not just Chris, do me a Flying Scotsman sound. It's all of these locos.
Yep.
We want all of these different functions. We want all of these different sounds they've got to connect in. So then you think of the amount of different locomotives and different.
That's right.
Then you go into international. Like it's a big job, and I'm sure as nice as it would be to say that you have 50 sound guys. Is you
it's just
and Ken. So
yeah.
so unless we want Chris to lose completely sleep and not see his children, you've got to kind of break that up, haven't you? And kind of go, which I guess is hard. What locos do you put out first? What ones do you?
Well, that's part of it, and so certainly for me as well. Like I said in our other Q&A, for me it's been a really big learning curve because I've had no sound editing development at all, and I've learned everything I've learned now from Ken. So being able to go out now and record sounds from locos has been a completely new thing for me. But I really, really enjoy it. But what it does do is highlight exactly from the beginning of a project of recording the sounds from the loco to actually getting a finished optical, as you can see here, into a loco, is a long process. And that obviously each one takes its time.
And you always said you're a perfectionist. So
that's right.
Which is good because people at home they want they want that. But it just gives a bit of context to. It isn't just we've got a library of random sounds and we're just chucking them in or anything like that. You're evolving that sound.
That's right.
So it's a whole new
Yes.
new way of working.
Making it specific to each locomotive, essentially.
Yeah.
We got Wi-Fi. I just
we
wanted
got
to show the
Wi-Fi?
profiles, so I think I need to sort the.
Oh, you've not got Wi-Fi. Have you got
Our Wi-Fi is not working at the moment.
Wi-Fi is not
The
working.
Wi-Fi is needed to have a look at the profiles and
Okay,
download
okay.
them, so I'll have to have a look at that later.
Nigel, Gaunt, when will you have controllers for points available?
So we already
HM
do
6000, right?
6010. So I've got a board here. It's not on, as you can see. It's nothing to do with we haven't got loads of stuff going on underneath the hood here. So, you know, I've already set this up in the application earlier. So, you know, but just to give an example, and then I can tap
HM
on.
6000, right?
Whoops!
Don't move the webcam.
Don't move the webcam. Apologies.
Have you not? Yeah.
Is that okay? If everyone can see, I've got my green light on there.
I'll say that
So
for
number
George.
2. There's a lot going on. So,
Oh yeah.
I just flicked some points there. Just like that. So the 6010 works already. We've also updated the firmware for the 6010. If you did link a 6010 into the HM DCC application, you have a one-time update which will actually upgrade it so it works with this system, and also for the DCC users out there, it effectively becomes an R8247.
That's right.
The accessory
The
decoder.
The version 2.
The version 2. The only thing we want to do with the HM DCC application is basically update the UI on there so it can use all of the functions of the R8247. So that will be coming in the future. While at the moment you can do your basic, you know, control at the moment of accessories. So you've got a basic control there, and then there'll be the advanced, you know, points and accessory control later on down the line.
Yep.
Nice. France, Matthew, Danny. When will new sounds be available? I'm waiting for a few that we're on the original list but are not on the app. Do we have to update the app for new sounds to become available?
No, so the app, that's automatically updated. We do that this end. So when it gets, it'll basically be pumped into the app, and the users will just see a new downloaded sound profile in the app that they can then.
Yeah. So some people are so quick as well, aren't they? They see,
yeah.
they're like, oh,
Soon
new
as we-
profiles are available before we've even put a post out or anything
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
It's crazy how quick you guys are.
Last rugby admin. Having tried to link 3 decoders using my iPhone, all 3 times the app crashed using latest software and updates, meaning I had to use a passcode which I didn't get to unlock them. Will there be a better solution than needing to contact Hornby, and will this bug be fixed?
This sounds like a compatibility issue.
It does sound like a compatibility issue. I must say to anyone looking to you know, get the 7000 is make sure that your phone or tablet is compatible. This system works, you know, can sometimes work for devices that are 5 years and older, but we have to recommend, you know, a catch of where there is, you know, 5 years of when the device first came out.
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure that that works possible. It might say on the App Store that it is compatible,
Yeah.
and that's because it's done via the iOS version. So there will be some iPhone 6s out there that work, but there'll be iPhone 5s that don't quite work.
Right.
It all depends on the device. I certainly recommend as well, like you know, shutting down a lot of your other apps that are going on. There's just a lot of factors. Low battery.
Yeah,
There's plenty of stuff going on there. So, and what was the second part of the question? Sorry.
No, they were just asking if that was a bug and would it be fixed, but obviously if it's a compatibility issue.
We will have a look at trying to get.
We're trying to get all those devices that
All
are
those
currently
devices
on the
yeah.
blacklist that we're saying are not yet compatible. We
Yeah.
are working to try and seeing what we can do to make them compatible. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult when we don't have here at Hornby that exact device.
Yeah.
I mean, with Android as well, because there's thousands of Android
That's right.
devices. If someone finds a bug, we need to get hold of that device
That's
to be
right.
able to replicate it, and then debug it.
So that's
So
probably the
we're
best
doing
thing.
our best.
The best thing for people, because you guys are looking at all this and you want that feedback, is there a best place for them to go if they've got something like that? If they say, right, I've got this iPhone 4 or whatever, this is the device. Would that be helpful for you to then be able to that information?
We can work on it. A lot of the times we have to say, you know, it won't be compatible, or it might be compatible, and it might be quite frustrating. But, you know, if you come to us first and foremost and say, you know, have you guys tested this? You know, have you used this system? They can do that. They can do that. You know, there's a direct assistance line to me, which is hm.customercare@hornby.com. So, you know, any questions like that, I'll try and help as best I can.
Stephen Bromley asks, running 2 Bluetooth decoders on one train such as the HST, can they be linked together or like 2 separate locos?
So, yeah.
So there is the method at the moment where if you use under DCC, you can consist them together. You can, if you're using by DCC, have the same address, because obviously under DCC you operate your locos via an address, whereas via Bluetooth it doesn't work via the locomotive address. I think what he means is might be covered when we develop the consisting. So when we do the consisting, we can set up multiple locos to get together and be operated as one. So I'm hoping when consistent comes in, that solves a lot of the issue.
That's a fair point you mentioned as well. So even though we allow for, in the locomotive settings, the ability to put in the loco address here, that's really only for, you know, DCC users, because the HM7000 decoders, this HM7000 dash and then the 4-digit code after it, that's actually your address.
Right.
You know, and that is a fixed address, but of course you can rename your locomotive, you know, in the application. So with regards to consisting and linking locomotives together, that's all part of that landscape mode we were talking about, and the ability to have, you know, multiple you know, consists in the application. So we are developing it. We will get it in there.
Then we've got some email questions. James Fitzsimmons, can E-Link be used to control old DCC decoders on the system while controlling HM7000, similar to the Elite and Select?
So the E-Link controller, yes. So the E-Link controller via...
Well, the E-Link controller will provide power to the track, but there is no RJ12 ExpressNet port, so you won't be able to plug a dongle into it to power and control your existing DCC decoders.
Right. But you could still control your DCC decoders via the E-Link, and then control the 7000 via the application separately as well, all on the same power. So you do have that. You just can't put one of these legacy dongles into the E-Link.
Martin Wright asks, will the sound decoders have the option to add steam generators, and will these be available for retrofitting?
No, I don't think. I think the plan is at the moment any of the locos that have got the steam generators in, they don't just have steam generators. They've got there's a whole list of components in there that control the steam generator and its operation that are then linked to the decoder. And at the moment, it would just be too clunky and probably expensive to produce a retrofitted kit because there's so many variations of the same model out there. So that isn't the plan at the minute.
Will sound files be made available for Hornby models that aren't currently in production? I would suggest no, because you might be giving it away.
Yeah, maybe. Although there has been talk, and we have discussed potentially making doing sound profiles for models that we don't produce.
Right.
So
just in case.
Just in case, yeah. So I mean, if we made say a class 68 or something, or if we didn't make a class 68, which we don't,
but we knew.
But somebody wanted the sound file, there might be the scope there potentially in the future to create a 68 sound profile.
Which kind of answers the other question about being available for other manufacturers' models.
Yeah.
So again, which is great. I mean,
a headache for me.
Yeah, headache. Because you're just going to have to go with every locomotive you can get.
Yeah, possibly, and cover that international. Yeah.
I feel like
you're all waiting on Chris.
Yeah. Hot man's
Don't act like you wouldn't like to do it, Chris.
I would actually.
Richard Swiderski. Can you please tell me when the HM7000 Android app will be available if anyone has only just tuned in about 4 weeks?
Yeah, about 4 weeks or so.
We're just asking it again, just to make sure.
Yeah, just to make
consistent,
sure.
just to make
so,
sure.
yeah.
Stuart Higgins, I think the new HM 7000 system is fantastic and has the potential to realise many aspirations that I've had since 01 was launched. As a user of E-Link, I now feel that I need to buy a simple controller that I could connect the legacy dongle to in order to make the most of the app. This is counter to the advertising that you no longer need to have an expensive controller. Could a cut down simple black box controller plus legacy dongle be launched to reach non-Bluetooth decoders?
We have discussed it, haven't we? Nothing's confirmed at the moment.
It's still ongoing, isn't it?
Still ongoing. Those discussions
We've
of that.
just been pumping out that the app needs to be. We need to get the app released into a workable format with the decoders. So this is almost like secondary, and we have discussed it, and it is something we never say no to anything. And as we've said, this is just the start. So anything that comes along with HM 7000 or Bluetooth control will be seriously considered.
Yeah, 100%.
The app opens up the possibility of recording your own sounds and adding them to a profile for all sorts of occasions, e.g. church bells, surprise announcements. Is that in the pipeline?
No.
No?
The short answer is no.
I would have. You don't want me to just record something and I can just do some announcements?
You can have a go if you like.
Just do some announcements.
Actually, I might need your voice for
Yeah,
something.
please do something.
The tech is there in the chip to play, for example, like stream spot sounds to it. But whether we go about doing that, I don't know. There's so much to it, isn't there? Like it's all the chuff rates and the loco and the way it's actually moving and how they react to the functions when you turn them on. There's so much more to it.
Yeah,
what about you couldn't have train announcements on the platform and things like that?
You could do. I mean, that almost goes back to when TTS had the vent van, and you had a wagon that was stationary on the layout, and it used to play random sounds.
Yeah.
That could be something that maybe we look at introducing something similar like that, that's Bluetooth controlled, maybe. Don't know.
The app has 00 or TT by profile.
Yes.
What is the difference? Why aren't the sounds independent of scale?
Right, so with TT, what we found was the standard motor algorithm that you would associate with the 00 models was making the TT models hum because the motor type in the TT models.
Yeah.
So what we devised was the TT models had their own profile, which has been it's been set up specifically for the TT motor in the models. So in order to get the TT models running smoothly, they had to have their own profile as such. I noticed a couple of people have actually downloaded the A4 sound profile for the TT, but put it in their OO model, and they've said, oh, it's running a bit rough. Why is that? And it's because the motor algorithm has been tuned for the TT model.
Right. Got ya. There you go. Please pass on my appreciation to the team behind the scenes who have made this a reality. A lot of people went into all
You?
And me.
And
Ken.
the whole team.
Ken, Carl, and
The
everyone.
whole team.
Yeah.
Andrew Millenship, I have a DCC layout powered by an NCE power cab, and I'm keen to know if the HM 7000 is the way forward to me. I still have about 10 locos to convert to DC sound, and I'm hoping this will be a cheap option. Will I be able to plug the dongle into the spare socket on the NCE board, or will I have to remove the NCE handset and plug the dongle into the left-hand socket? Could the system work with two operators simultaneously, one using the power cab and one using the app? And will I be able to control locos with the new decoders from the NCE power cab handset? Who wants to?
Blimey.
So NCE power cab.
We need to give it a really good test, don't we?
Yeah, I do. I feel like, again, it's a little bit like George hit on devices that are compatible with the app. It's finding those devices that are necessarily compatible with the dongle, and the devices out there, the current DCC control systems that have got an RJ12, ExpressNet, that use ExpressNet communication. So there's a bit of a grey area around the NC power cab. I think we've got to look at that further with the dongle when we look at the firmware for the dongle.
There you go. So that's all of the questions that we've had in. Do we have any live questions that we'd like to read out and ask the team from behind the camera?
Roger James has said, how close does the phone need to be to the DCC chip for it to still work? I have a garden railway.
So So the question was, I'll read it out just because.
That's all right.
How close does the phone have to be or tablet device have to be to the system as has a garden rail layout?
So these chips have a really, really good range, actually. So within a plastic-bodied locomotive, you're looking from the phone or tablet to the locomotive and the chip around about 45 metres. In a die-cast bodied locomotive, you're looking at about 12 to 15 metres. However, the system we've actually developed is based on a Bluetooth mesh architecture. And what that means is that all of the chips actually communicate with each other. And what's fantastic about that is that you could have, for example, one locomotive, let's say 40 to 45 metres away from your tablet. You could then have another locomotive, another 45 metres away from the first locomotive, and you could still communicate with that. So it will hop communication about. Yeah. So usually with a big garden layout, we would recommend having what's known as like a hub, as it were. Yeah. All of, for example, the legacy dongle, or we've got the 6010 here, or even the HM 6000. Basically, any products we do with that are Bluetooth will act as like a static hub, and then that will improve the connection over distance as well. So garden rails do become a possibility. Absolutely. If you have an absolutely massive layout, we're talking humongous, you can still just use the legacy dongle to control everything. If your DCC controller will reach the far ends of your garden railway layout, this will too. So
we think with anything extreme, you've got to have the bus and power feed to every point of your layout. So providing that's available, yeah.
Any other questions? To who, me?
Yeah.
I do not have my phone on me.
Do you have your phone? We can read them out.
Or if you just print them out for you. If someone prints them out for us, then I can ask these guys a couple of questions.
Got a hello from Germany and a few other hellos.
Hello.
Any 4234 vet updates yet?
Vet.
Vet.
Is this the model or the?
I'm going to assume that's the actual loco itself, which would be.
I don't know, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, that would be a Simon or Carl question. Yes, that one.
It would.
But the sound profile will most likely come at the same time. We'll try and get the sound profile
yes,
as early as possible. But
I think I can't remember if I put down which you'll see, either Q4 or early 2024. But I know obviously the issue that I've got is there's no working prototype, so I'm kind of restricted there a little bit. But it is going to come, but at some point.
Any others?
So can you set up a Bluetooth decoder using Railmaster and an E-Link that's on sound free?
Can you set up a Bluetooth controller using Railmaster and E-Link?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. They will still function as DCC decoders without any of the app control.
Brilliant. Feels like it'd be quicker to say what controllers couldn't you use it with?
Yeah.
Are the A4 chuffing sounds accurate to the real A4 chuffing sounds?
Yeah.
Or are they standard steam motion chuffing?
No, they are. They were recorded from the actual prototype.
There you go. It's live recording. That is the real stuff.
Bitten. I think it was bitten at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
Can you load any sound files?
So we said, yeah, you can't
No, not
download any
Generic
sound
to our
files.
specific firmware and
Yes.
so.
Nick Good said, I have a DCC layout on my laptop using Railmaster. Is there any way of transferring it to my iPad?
I'm going to say no, as of current. This is, a brand new system, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
think there is.
there isn't as of current, no.
Will the Select and the Elite be discontinued now that the HM 7000 is on the market?
I think that's probably one for Mr. Simon K. Mr. Simon Kohler.
I think they'd say no plans to at the moment. It's still, people still use it, and
No, I haven't
There's
heard
a way
anything at the
to-
moment.
Yeah.
And how easy is it to hand over a loco to another tablet or phone?
So at the moment, every time that you link in the decoder into the application, it binds it to your phone or tablet. This is so no one else can basically take it over at the moment. You would then have to basically unlink it. Like for example, if I went like this, I'd unassign my loco and then I press this unlink and delete device. When I press that button, it makes it available for another user who can then link it in.
Right.
However, this is definitely something that we want to develop a really nice, smooth transition way in the future, where you could just, you know, like a
You'd have the names,
airdrop
yeah.
or something like that. You know, a locomotive with all of the settings, you know, pre-set up. So you'll be able to set up like CV settings, all of the function maps, everything like that for a friend. Then say, there you go, like that, and pass it over. So we will develop, you know, a method of handover for it.
So, and I'm not suggesting anyone sells their Hornby locomotives, but let's say, for instance, I've got my HM DCC all set up, ready to go, and I want to sell my Blind Scotsman, but I want to keep the decoder.
Keep the decoder.
I
Yeah.
can then just put that in another one,
Yep.
and then I'm away to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Of
have
course.
to unlink. I don't have to worry about any of that.
No, this is why we've got, you know, the ability to, you know, assign and unassign locomotives from the decoders, because you might want to take that decoder and put it into another locomotive that you've
or something.
already set up in the application. So you do have the ability to do that, yeah. And on vice versa, the flip side, because it's a good point, if you wanted to sell that decoder to a friend, you just need to unlink and delete the device off yours,
And then
sell it straight over, and it will keep that profile that they
Okay.
put on there as well. So if you've already installed a brand new profile, like the A4 for example, you could then just hand it over to a friend and they've now got the A4.
Brilliant. Great. Any others?
So if a decoder is paired with one phone and another decoder with another phone, will they still relay messages from each other's mesh family, or will they be limited to their own mesh family?
They are limited to their own mesh family. So every single phone or tablet, it basically, you build up your own mesh network, as it were.
Nice. Okay.
Please can you tell me what the max amp can be for the what the max amp the decoder can handle, i.e. what the motor draws through the chip?
What's the max amp that the decoder
Continuous.
can use?
The decoder, I think it's continuous. I think
It's for 1,000 milliamps.
I can't think if it's an amp or 1.5 amp with 2 amp with 2 amp peak. It's in the manual. I know that.
Yeah, I thought it was
can't remember off the top of my head.
1.5 amp
I think it is
peak,
I think it is
continuous.
I think
Yeah,
it is
1
1.5.
amp.
It's in the manual anyway, and it gives you the breakdown and all the decoder specifications.
Is it possible to delete a previously linked decoder from the app without the decoder being powered on the track and therefore not able to link to Bluetooth?
So because it's got no link and it's got no power to the track,
Yeah.
the decoder's got no power, so you can't link to it, but you can delete it out of your application, so it's not there. It basically is inbuilt into the application, whereby if I press this unlink and delete device button, it wouldn't work because it's got no decoder to actually connect to. But if I do that 3 times and it fails, you get a force delete. You can delete it straight out of the application. Another user could then use, the reset code, or let's say that a user decided to sell their decoder, but they didn't unlink and delete it from the application. They'd be able to come to customer care, where we give them a one-time use code to unlock that decoder.
Dave Wells says, could you demonstrate downloading a new sound file to one of your locos? Say put a diesel sound file onto one of the steam locos.
I haven't got Wi-Fi connection at the moment.
Wi-Fi not there.
Yeah, it's,
So,
I think at the moment the Wi-Fi is playing up, so not right now at this current time. So
what we will do is we'll get a video.
yeah, we'll do a video of it.
Of showing that process for you. That's a good point. So if there is anything that you'd like to see in depth video-wise. There will be more tutorials coming.
Yep.
But also, if you've got any requests for anything that you'd like to see from demoed, then do comment in under the video or anything like that, because we can try and get just quick tips kind of things going for different
definitely.
things just like that. I'm sure the Wi-Fi's playing up, but we'll make
it
sure
wouldn't load the profiles earlier.
yeah.
So I think it's connecting to the Apple TV at the moment.
Oh, okay.
So
There
which
you
we
go.
need.
Paul asks, can you explain how to power a brand new 00 layout with 4 loops? Do you need multiple power supplies?
So we've got four loops
here,
right
yeah,
here,
yeah.
where we've got one 4 amp power supply that has effectively been spliced off into the 4 individual loops right here.
You can do that, or you can. What I know you were going to just about.
Yeah,
say
I was about to
this,
say.
But you can have the 1 amp power, the 1 4 amp power supply connected to your track, but then have a proper bus feed under your layout. So droppers from every bit of, or every so often on each track, you'd have droppers to a continual circuit, which is connected to your bus output from your control. So you're maintaining. You're not going to get any current drops around your layout. That's how I would do it from a professional point of view. And then you're just keeping that continuality around your layout.
Or alternatively, if you can link them all with points. Link all the points together, an electric point track clips.
You can,
to
but
give you power.
that's not ideal. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're looking at setting your layout up properly, I would recommend you do a proper bus feed under your layout. There's various guides and things like that on the internet to give you some pointers, but having droppers every so often, and then your control connected to your bus, and then all your droppers connected to your bus, so it feeds everything, it would be the way I'd do it.
George Martin, sorry if I missed the answer to this earlier, but can you have 2 or more operators on separate devices necessary for larger layouts?
So I guess, in this
Because
scenario,
we did,
you'd
didn't
have
we?
your own decoders in this scenario. So we, like Chris had, a mobile phone here with a Class 08. He's connected to that when it gets connected.
When that goes blue.
Give it a second.
Okay.
There it is. So we've got one operator there with their HM 7000 decoder, and then I've got my locomotives as well that I can also control over here. We're just using the power, aren't we? So
Install. Yeah, install.
Still coming up again the wrong way.
Dirty track.
Clean the track, did we?
No.
give it a nudge.
Nice. And then you're controlling the.
Yeah, I'm controlling here. Look, it's the 9F. Oh, crikey. Okay, I don't crash into the back here.
Lost connection.
Mark Smith asks, how will the HM 7000 work with the HM 6000 loco DC controller?
So the HM 6000 controller can be used to provide power to the rails. So in your HM DC app, you'd max the power to full. Make sure your app inactivity control is disabled, so it doesn't pause the power going when you switch off to HM DCC app. And then you can just put all your locomotives on the rails, and and away they go. They'll work. So we are as well, developing to get the 6000 as well into the HM DCC app, just to make that whole process of providing power to your layout a lot smoother.
So I'm just well aware that the.
Oh,
the
sorry, I'm
logo is
catching you up now. Yeah.
I was going to press some horns in between, but I thought it might be a bit rude.
Yeah.
I'm having a whale of a time here. It's good. It's great.
Funky X486 asks,
Funky X.
can I have other speakers other than the Sugar Cube? Example, iPhone speaker.
Yes. As long as the impedance is not lower than 8 ohm, yes, you can.
I'd snip off for the connector as well.
Yeah, I mean,
That might make it a bit more plug and play with the
Yeah.
others, with the
then
speakers.
just put some insulating tape around your wire so you don't short anything out. It's probably the preferred thing to do.
You
Is
busted
there,
my Class
is
08.
there a bird on this? A little bird? A little bird with a little jacket on it. Sorry.
Look at that.
Any more questions? Sorry.
How does the sound of the HM7000 Sugar Cube speaker compare with that of existing TTS fitted double O gauge locos? Is it worth upgrading just for the new sound?
I mean,
Okay.
you trialled it the other day.
If I didn't work here, so this is hypothetical, but if I didn't work here, I would upgrade. Having used it and having developed it, the fidelity's been increased. I think it's 22K on this TXS. TTS was 8K. It's significant in terms of being able to audibly listen to the differences between the sound qualities. And I think when you listen to, say, when George was demonstrating the 9F and even the diesel, the sound quality is so much better.
Yeah.
And you've got, in conjunction with the sound quality, you've got the additional.
Sorry to interrupt,
The additional functionality with your decoder as well. So there's so many features on this decoder that that's worth the upgrade alone. So I would definitely look to upgrade. Personally speaking, I think this is a massive step up from CTS.
Yeah, I mean we
Let's get
you were
this
showing
one
it the other day, weren't you? And even Dan behind the camera was quite surprised that it was coming out
Yeah.
of a model railway loco because it just sounded so good.
Yeah, so clear.
So George is going to whack up a little bit the audio to try and get it a little louder, and we'll just run through some sounds. Just take a moment and enjoy the sound of the layout.
It gets you won't be able to hear us. It goes so loud, so I won't go too loud.
I probably wouldn't put the volume over 80. Maybe.
I've got it on 60, Chris.
Oh, that's fine. That should be good. Yeah. That's quite loud for 60, actually. One of the questions that came out of this is the steamers they look comparable to the TTS decoders in that the synchronised chuffing or the chuffing is not in time with the wheels, but there's various aspects you can do play around in the decoder by changing things like the speaker and things like that. That's all documented in the manual, so you can improve it.
Just three guys watching some model railways, listening to some sounds.
Sounds like a Thursday evening for me.
Yeah.
Just need a beer.
That's it. It's quite any others?
Yeah, we've got Peter Sullivan asks, can I use a HM 6000 to control the Hornby coal elevator with the HM 7000 app?
We
use HM 6000 to control his coal elevator with the HM 7000 app.
Not currently. You can do that on the HM 6000 app, HM DC, but we haven't got that capability quite yet. Yeah, because they're two separate apps at the moment, but you know we'll make things simpler in both over time.
Chris asks, can I use your existing DCC decoders with the app?
That would be legacy dongle for that. So.
Yep.
I mean, I'm loving this. Genuinely. I think that'd probably de-stress me out having a loco just slowly chugging along.
We work in the right place.
You'd think so.
Don't get to play enough.
Yeah, no, I think.
I've got a question.
There we go.
Will I be able to use the track layout in the app to control accessories, for example, clicking on points to change them?
So
You
yeah,
wouldn't be able to visualise the layout.
So one for the future, that one. So Track Builder will inevitably evolve.
Yeah, I personally like it too because I've seen various track builders out there that where you can actually control via the app, and it would just be good to be able to have that integrated. There's no reason why it wouldn't be.
All right. Well, are there any others?
Yeah. How does the TT120 sound in comparison to the double O gauge version?
crikey. Well, it's the same speakers,
It's the same speakers,
same
it's actually
decoders.
the same decoders, the same sound profile. The only
Do you want to
difference
stop this
being is the motor algorithm has obviously been changed for the TT locos, because obviously they're smaller and they use a different type motor to get smoother running. But that's all that's changed.
So that's the TT locomotive right now.
There's both of them going there. Obviously, I've made the 9F a lot louder.
Yeah, so your TT Flying Scotsman sound profile is exactly the same as the 00 Flying Scotsman sound profile. It's just the running characteristics slightly different.
So yeah, effectively they sound exactly the same.
They are, yeah, they are the same.
All right, let's stop that.
Well, I think that's a good time to stop because these guys have got very important work to do that they need to get back to. Thank you so much to everyone who's been on the live chat, who's given their questions before and after, both on YouTube and on TikTok. We really appreciate you both giving us time to show off some of the features.
Sure.
As I said, if you'd like to see anything specifically kind of detailed or anything like that, do pop it in the comments down below, because me and George will sit down and we'll see if we can just trial some different elements on the app for you. So yeah, make sure you comment below. If you'd like to find out any more information about anything to do with HM DCC, you can obviously go to hornby.com, where you'll find plenty of clicks to our HM DCC section. All information's on there: manuals, tutorials, downloadable, printable tutorials, everything you need to. If they want to contact because they've got any issues, what's the contact for that on? That'll be on there as well.
That's the hm.customercare@hornby.com.
So, and as always, shameless plug, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can join us with any of these live Q&As and demos that we do, and of course so you can enjoy all of our content. So without further ado, big thank you to the people behind the camera: Brooke, Dan, Catherine. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you again, Chris, George, and thank you at home, and we'll see you on the next stop. See you later.